Challenge 2026 Expert Speak webinar. I am Drishti Makhijani and I will be your moderator for today's session. Sampurna Grand Challenge is an innovation challenge launched in partnership with the Department of Horticulture, Government of Karnataka. The challenge is designed to identify, support, and scale innovations with the potential of preventing post harvest loss across key commodities within the state. Today's webinar is the last webinar in a series designed to connect innovators, startups, and ecosystem builders with practitioners who've spent a very large part of their careers building on the forefront of India's agri food systems. To begin today's webinar, may I please invite Ms. Debjani Samantare, Global Manager at Nutrition Connect, to deliver the welcome address and set the context for today's session. Over to you, Debjani.
Thank you so much, Drishti. And namaskar and good morning to all of you. Warm welcome to participants, innovators who've joined us, our expert leaders, mentors, and partners, and my colleagues who have joined us. Thank you so much for taking time out from your busy schedules for this important expert speak session with Dr. Angelo George, CEO of Bisleri International. As many of you know, this is in a part a series under the Sampurna Grand Challenge for being a part of the thought process and experiential learning of many of our experts from different facets of the agri-food value chain. And so today's session, therefore, also brings forth a rich exchange of knowledge and experiences and practical insights around these critical themes that are helping to shape the future of food systems in Karnataka, India, and beyond. And so, rightly so, the Sampurna Grand Challenge has been envisioned as a platform that encourages bold, locally grounded, scalable innovations that can help to strengthen, to build healthier, safer, and more sustainable food systems. And so this challenge really comes from a legacy of previous innovation challenges also that GAIN, along with partners, both in public and private sector, has been implementing across the globe, driving meaningful public and private action together. And so this has been previously done in 9 other countries in Africa and Asia, and India is the 10th country, with Karnataka being the focal point for this customized, need-based innovation challenge, through which we try and support the innovators not only for solving real-world challenges, but also thinking more deeply about scalability and market reality and long-term impact. Sampurna, the word itself, really means complete or whole, and it reflects the ambition of this initiative by bringing together stakeholders across market, public system, policy, private sector, innovators such as yourself, and to try and identify, evaluate, and enable the adoption of innovative solutions that are scalable and addressing post-harvest inefficiencies, contribution to food loss across Karnataka's agri and horticulture value chains. In today's session, you will be hearing a lot more from my colleagues also. Most importantly, the partners who have envisioned this platform together: GAIN, Nutrition Connect, TTC, ABWCI, Fortuna PR, Active, Krishi Kalpa, and H2S. And we are extremely thankful to the Government of Karnataka and Department of Horticulture for their visionary leadership. Heartfelt thanks especially to Dr. Shalini Rajneesh, Chief Secretary to the Government of Karnataka, and Sagirish Reddy, Secretary, Department of Horticulture, Government of Karnataka. They have been instrumental in their guidance and continuous encouragement. Today's session, also you will be hearing from colleagues, followed by my speech will be Drishti, who will be taking you through the Sampurna Grand Challenge and its different facets, categories, key dates, etc., followed by a fireside chat with our esteemed expert speaker for today, Dr. Angelo George, CEO of Bisleri International, in conversation with Dr. Parul Soni, followed by a session on Ask Me Anything with Dr. Angelo, where you can put forth your questions to him, and followed by closing thoughts by Dr. George. And any other questions that you may have also taken onward by my colleagues, Mr. Ajay and Mr. Asim. And so this is a session we're looking forward where you are able to engage, interact, ask questions, and participate. Looking forward to it, and thank you once again for joining. So over to you, Drishti.
Thank you so much, Devjani. We now know what an exciting hour we have ahead of us. But before we hear from today's key speaker, I would like to spend a couple of minutes talking about the realities in which this challenge is rooted and grounded in, and also unpack the challenge a little more, talking about challenge categories, who can apply, and what's really in it for the winners, and what are some of the key activities that will happen as part of the Sampurna Grand Challenge 2026. We know that Karnataka is a horticulture powerhouse, producing some of India's most prized horticulture commodities. However, there are seven key crops that sit at the heart of this story, namely onion, mango, banana, tomato, grapes, pomegranate, and pineapple, together contributing to about 88,000 crores in revenue. It's a pretty large number in hand that we're talking about. And despite this horticultural strength that the state has, a significant share of what grows never reaches its potential, and it's lost somewhere between the farm and the consumer. And it's not that the challenge sits at one place or the loss happens at one single point in the value chain. It's staggered across various stages of the value chain, right from harvesting up till processing and it reaching the consumer. It starts with improper on farm handling, moves on to if there are bottlenecks at the cold chain, which means that the surplus cannot be absorbed. And then lack of processing means that again a lot of it has to be sold off at dirt cheap prices, and every kilogram that is lost, it is beyond just what we see, right? It's actually it's actually the work that the farmer had kind of put in into growing that crop, which could never financially be realized. And we all know the structural challenges of across the value chain that are currently prevalent. They're all very well understood but very little addressed actively. We know there are cold chain gaps, there is fragmented logistics, there is poor sorting and grading that happens. We know that there is smallholder vulnerability, and what really happens is that if the surplus, on one hand, surplus cannot be absorbed when there is bumper crop and it's sold at dirt cheap prices. On the other hand, when there is a lean season, the prices go up. And there is a lot of market instability that also happens, and the difference of prices between the farm at the farm gate and at the end consumer are also pretty vast because of all of these structural challenges. We know that the cost, as I mentioned earlier, the cost of the food that is lost goes much beyond what we see. It's about farmer income that is lost. The work that the farmer had put in into growing that crop could never be financially realized. It means nutrition is denied to families that need it the most. When we now talk about women in workforce or talking about post harvest value chain workers, they are working, there are price crashes, incomes are reduced, and they're also now working with very smaller budgets when it comes to providing for healthier food for their families. And then obviously there is market instability that also kind of continues. All of these challenges, we know, are staggered across the value chain and kind of compound at every stage of the value chain. So, understanding all of these realities within the state, specifically identifying challenges across across the seven key priority value chains, and building on the experience that Gain has of conducting these innovation challenges across several countries, this innovation challenge was designed, rooted in realities of food systems within Karnataka, where the idea is simple: to identify, support, and scale solutions that have the potential of solving for this very large post harvest loss problem at hand. Again, basis of all of these learnings from the gap assessment, the seven key challenge categories came into being. And the seven key challenge categories are as follows. I will walk you through all of them, giving a couple of examples of what kind of solutions could you look at when you are applying across any of these challenge categories. The first challenge category is post harvest value chain solutions. This is a very large category, which means that if you are an innovator, entrepreneur, or a company building a solution that kind of solves for post harvest loss or prevents post harvest loss at multiple points within the value chain, this is a category that you can look to apply on. Or if you have some solutions around on farm handling, sorting and grading, any kind of mechanization based solution, anything that basically reduces spoilage and kind of enhances shelf life, all of those solutions fit in the first category. The second category at hand is sustainable packaging innovations. This means anything to do with biodegradable packaging, reusable crates, any kind of packaging that increases kind of shelf life, any innovative design packaging solutions that you have that might contribute to increasing shelf life or keep the produce fresh for a longer time. This is the category that you can look to apply in. The third is efficient logistics optimization. This means anything to do with cold chain, last mile, route optimization kind of solutions. All of the solutions that's to do with logistics, supply chains, and making them more efficient. This is the category that you can look to apply in. The fourth is community led aggregation and enterprise, which means any solution or any innovative model that you have that looks at FPO model, or that looks at collection centers, collective branding, and people and communities kind of coming together to participate in the market. Those kind of solutions fit really well within community led aggregation enterprise category. The fifth is innovative financial access solutions. Anything to do with FPO credit, warehouse receipt, financing, digital lending, insurance linked products, in case you have. All of those solutions fit really well in category 5. Then you have category 6, which is digital decision systems for food loss. So, any tech based solutions that you might have, which is about predictive analytics, traceability, enables decision making across different stakeholders across the value chain, where they can see multiple data pointers that help make better decisions. This is the category that your solution really fits well in. The seventh or the last category that we have is circular economy and loss to value solutions, which means that creation of value added products like puree, juice, as well as solutions around biogas composting, byproduct extraction, and creating into some kind of other products that you would want to look at. So, yeah, these are the seven challenge categories that we have in hand that the challenge is looking to identify solutions in. Now, what are some of the key activities and timelines that you have to keep in mind when you are applying for Sampurna Grand Challenge? The application window is currently open and stays open up till the 15th of June, post which we internally look at all applications, look at completeness of applications, reach out to our applicants in case we require any further information, and before we actually begin the evaluation process. Then comes in the shortlisting, where our expert panel critically reviews and scores all applications and solutions that have come in, and post which the selected applicants get a one-on-one mentorship with our experts to help them build and scale their solutions. This is where mentors will be talking to them about challenges that they face, bottlenecks. This is a really great opportunity to connect with stalwarts within the agri-food systems, um, ask your questions, get the kind of perspective that you would not have otherwise gotten. So this is going to be a very rich couple of weeks packed with learning, post which our participants will again make a pitch, and from that last round of presentation will emerge 7 winners for the Sampurna Grand Challenge 2026. There is a prize pool for up to 50 lakhs for our winners that we have. But what's more exciting is the government support that each of these solutions will get to help them scale and convert into commercially viable solutions within the state of Karnataka. Alongside that, there is high visibility. You will get a lot of mentorship from domain experts. There'll be a felicitation and high profile ceremony, a lot of networking opportunities with government and non government stakeholders, potential funding, larger funding opportunities as well that might emerge through the course of the challenge. So yeah, it's more than just prize money that Sampurna is kind of looking to support our startups with. It's more of a holistic support that we're looking to give solutions with the potential of preventing post-harvest loss within the state. Now, who can really apply to the challenge? Startups, agri-tech companies, technology innovators, FPOs, agri enterprises, social enterprises, ecosystem organizations, cooperatives and SHGs, community enterprises, basically anyone and everyone that has a solution that could potentially prevent post-harvest loss. You can be anywhere in the country and you can still apply for this challenge, as long as your challenge is replicable and applicable to the context of Karnataka, and is also solving for the 7 key commodities that we're looking solutions specifically for. So you can go ahead and apply. We just need you to have a proof of concept or some kind of pilot that you've already done with your solution. This challenge really looks at how do we scale the pilots in place. So this is pretty much a walkthrough of what to expect from the Sampurna Grand Challenge 2026. And I'm sure all of you have a bunch of questions around it, but I would request you to hold all your solutions at this stage. Towards the end of the webinar, we have a dedicated section by the team who've been behind the challenge, answering all your questions specifically relevant and pertaining to the challenge. That was pretty much it from my side, and we now move to the heart of today's session, which is the fireside chat with Dr. Angelo George. And over the next 20 minutes, we will have the privilege of hearing from Sir. Sir is the CEO of Bisleri International and a seasoned business leader with over 3 decades of experience across leading multiple organizations across Hindustan Unilever, EID Parry, Dabur India, and Sir has led businesses across India, Middle East, South Asia, and he's widely recognized for driving growth, fostering innovation, and building strong consumer brands. And today, as we speak to Sir, we will unpack what are the next opportunities within agri-food systems, addressing post-harvest loss through Sampurna Grand Challenge, and what are some of the key things that innovators and solution builders have to kind of keep in mind when they're building and looking at scale as one of the key components as they build. And joining him today, we have Dr. Parul Soni, founder ABWCI and global managing partner Think Through Consulting. So it has been a key architect in shaping Sampurna as a platform. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Drishti, for explaining the context and also the whole award categories as such. I'm so excited to host today, Dr. George, you, and also, listen to you, your experience, your because you widely traveled across the world. You are on various international committees. We want to understand from you as you see Sampurna, the Grand Challenge, the Sampurna, the platform, working on the food loss as a platform, and also working because as we discussed with you, Karnataka is the first state in India which is basically hosting this whole platform. And this platform will not only transform the the whole horticulture value chain, but also help in increasing the farmer income, because all the loss which is happening to the farmers is basically loss to the income of the farmers. So from your perspective, your experience, because you've done so much work on circular economy, and circular economy also means that using everything what it is, which is grown, which is processed, so that we can really see the benefit of that, that material or the produce as such. According to your experience, what should we do and how should we do this whole thing? Because main thinking is that this food loss has become a very important thought process in when it comes to the production and also on the plantation side of it. So we want to understand your views.
I think the way I look at it, sitting in a water company, I would put it that the food security, water security, and farmer prosperity are deeply interconnected. I think one of the most important realities we often overlook is that food security is fundamentally a water security issue. Because if you really look at it from an Indian standpoint, agriculture consumes about 85% of the groundwater, and climate variability is increasing, water stress is intensifying. The future will depend upon not just producing more food or horticultural products, but producing more with less water. I think a key success metric would be productivity per unit of water used rather than productivity per hectare alone. And that's a thought I would leave behind. I think this also creates a lot of opportunity for corporates to contribute. I think our role extends beyond CSR or funding.
Correct.
I think we bring in capabilities in technology, in market access, logistics, to some extent risk management. And we also bring in a lot of consumer insights and large scale execution. I think capabilities that can actually strengthen the entire ecosystem. I mean, I remember going back many years, 2012 or 13, we worked with, I used to be with Dabar in those days, and we worked with the farmers in Muzaffarpur in Patna, where we went to the villages and saw that people were actually having a bad time. So we said Dabar is anyway one of the largest honey seller in India.
Correct.
So why don't we incorporate the farmers into getting, and particularly Muzaffarpur is very famous for lychee honey.
Yes, that and this is very important to say, because when you introduced this whole honey in terms of the fruit honey and the perspective of that, at that time the whole market had a big gap, because people were, there was companies selling honey, but different variety of honey was not available. So we want to understand from you that how you brought the whole FPOs and the farmers into this.
So we went to the villages, and honestly, when you actually started going into villages, I remember one night, sitting and eating in one of the houses, huts, I would call it. I mean, I would call it a house rather. And you realize that their life is very difficult. And then you come back with the resolve that you need to make some difference in their life. And we started this entire honey cultivation, and my packaging guys, I remember telling me, you are not into purchase and packaging. Why are you? Purchase and packaging used to be one department. I used to head sales in those days.
Yeah.
So he said, why are you getting involved in that? I said, you want to make a difference to somebody, and there's an opportunity of a differentiated product which is lacking market access and scalability. So we have put in this, we gave the honeycomb, the entire structures to many farmers over there, and started as a project with Jivika. Rajesh Singh was with the World Bank in those days.
Yeah.
Today, as we speak, I think last year the quantum of honey procured from Muzaffarpur alone for Dabar is 300 tons. So I
Wow.
think it can actually make a difference to people. So one of the biggest opportunities lies in helping farmers connect with the markets. And we have a deep understanding of consumer preferences. If you
Hmm.
look at nutrition, if you look at quality and traceability, I think converting those differences into market opportunities, we can help them move towards higher value crops.
Hmm.
And when you looked at this entire value chain of honey, I remember the middlemen were taking away a lot of this money. And
Yeah.
you could convert it into a consumer opportunity, and that value could translate into a farmer benefit. The second piece was about technology, if I look at it. I think half the time the farmers do cultivation without proper soil testing
Yeah.
or not even being aware of how much watering to be done for the plant. So precision agriculture, they help farmers make a better decisions. I think that's where uh, people in corporate can possibly extend. But having said that, I would say uh, some of the most powerful innovations. I traveled around, also part of some associations which connect with rural. Some of the powerful innovations emerge not from labs but from farmers themselves. Across India, the progressive guys develop practical solutions, combining the local knowledge, and they also adapt to modern tools. I think corporates can play an important role in identifying, validating, maybe financing, and helping people scale up these innovations. I think the way I would look at it is the long term food system cannot be separated from sustainability.
Yeah.
I think that's where what we have done in terms of things like water credits, that
Yeah.
concept of
Yeah.
conserve water can actually
I,
play.
wa- I was coming to that only, that because you've done extensive work with water, and the experience of Dabur and other large companies, because you also have a very you can say this whole program called Nai Umeed. And this Nai Umeed is basically working with farmers and also on the water harvesting structures, and also looking at the whole resilience part of it. If you can talk about it, and then we can also then come back to this whole possibility of how we can, how this whole food loss it can be connected to the whole thing, because water binds everything. Because also I feel that the loss of water is also creating a lot of problem. So that's what we can discuss about it, and how we should take it forward from that perspective.
As a company whose business depends entirely on water, we have always believed that water stewardship is not a CSR activity. It is
Correct.
a strategic imperative for people like us. And one of the observations I often share is that for most industries, sustainability is an agenda.
Hmm.
But in water business, it is a license to operate.
Hmm.
We have this Nayomit program and watershed conservation initiatives. Basically, we restore water bodies, build check dams, and improve the groundwater recharge, transforming entire ecosystems. I think what we have seen is that when water becomes available for longer parts of the year, the
Hmm.
productivity dramatically improves. The incomes become more stable and communities become more resilient. The whole migration from rural to urban kind of comes down. Actually, when I would put it that the social and economic benefits are significantly greater than the water availability itself.
Hmm.
We created in the Maharashtra, Gujarat area something like about 378 conservation structures so far, harvesting over 32 billion liters of water,
Wow. Oh my God. This
benefiting
is.
more than close to a
Yeah.
lakh of people in terms of livelihood.
Huh.
And we have
Huh.
seen, we have gone and done an audit in terms of what used to be their income earlier, an annual income, in many cases less than 20 to 30,000 rupees. And you really see that dramatic progression to a 300,000 to 400,000 rupees. And
No,
that's
no,
when
I can agree, because I have worked at my initial life. You are building these water structures. in two organizations where I worked, and I was leading this. We built 7,500 water structures in Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Karnataka. And I know when the income increases, it increases really like, really, because your productivity of the farm is so much because of water retention, recharging of aquifers, and also looking at the whole value chain improves. So I'm so excited to understand from you that, how did you start this whole program?
I think this was our chairman's vision that we need to give back to the society, and being a water business, let us just focus on water. And since our packaging is plastic, let's also focus on plastic. So these are the two mandates I have to drive and improve things out there.
Yeah, yeah,
We have this. We are partners to the marathons,
yeah,
most marathons in the country, because hydration gets amplified really in sports. So during the Ladakh marathon, we were keeping these bottles on the wayside. It's a 185-kilometer run. And
yeah.
the farmers came to us and said, we don't have water for half the year and you guys are placing these bottles on the road.
Hmm.
So we decided, okay, let us do something about it. So we started building the first reservoir, uh, I think in Nubra Valley in Leh.
Okay.
And that's at
Okay.
11,500 feet in terms of height. So the glacier water comes during some part of the year. After that, it just is not there. People then migrate to places where water is available. So every year we have been building one reservoir, and each one is benefiting about 8 to 10 villages in that sense. So our whole idea is that 185 kilometers we must have identify areas over the next so many years and keep building reservoirs which will help people. But what we also realized in this process is that successful execution or restoration happens, succeed only when the local communities become co-owners of the solution. So
Participation. Yeah, yeah.
they should be working on the check dam. We will pay them the money.
Hmm.
But tomorrow, if one pathar comes off from the check dam, they should have the ownership to go and fix it rather than make a call to Bisleri and wait for things to change.
Very true, because that's basically their ownership, and also the feeling that this is their ownership of this whole, of that water structure is theirs, because this is where the whole community contribution becomes very,
Exactly.
very important from that perspective. Because that is real, and what you spoke about Ladakh and also Leh in Maharashtra and also in Gujarat is very, very, it's important and also very pertinent when it comes to the farmer income and also looking at the farm, water conservation as such. But sir, we also want to understand from you, because we feel that, on the whole, thinking about how to improve, because all the companies which is into, FMCG, the food companies, and I look at you as also a food company. I want to understand from you, how should we create this network? How should we work together on the whole value chain, and the value chain of food loss, which is basically looking at working with the FPO, so that we are in front of it to see when the production is happening, when they're growing and harvesting. We should see that the best crop is saved, and the crop is then maybe bought by the stakeholders which have the potential to preserve or process as such. What is your opinion on that?
Uh, I think I would look at it in about three, 4 points. One is to say that we must figure out a way to reduce the post harvest loss.
Yeah.
And that is where I think we need to have some idea in terms of what is the market requirement really. Because before we do anything in corporate, the first question I ask my team when they come with a bright idea, I would say, fantastic, great idea. Can you scope out the market and see how the market is going today and likely to shape a few years ahead? So somewhere all your innovations in a corporate environment is tuned to a market forecasting or a sensing the market. Now, more often when you go and talk to a farmer, you will understand that he has been cultivating the same crop and baiting that horse for the last 20 years.
Hmm.
Maybe he is not even aware, or nobody is even educated him as to what are the changing trends and what could be the crops that he could be cultivating, which can give a
Hmm.
better value or a lesser loss in terms of storage and other limitations that may constrain him. Now, that is the first thing I would say, which is a possibility when I look at even Karnataka. I've lived in Bangalore, so I'm equally aware. I've seen how cabbage and other stuff, which really rots because it is not shipped in the right time.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say I used to be looking after Unilever in those days. The transportation cost from the Hassan Belt to Bangalore for a
Yeah.
truck used to become 4 times in mango season and cabbage season, because
Yeah.
the truck used to go for agriculture, and when you want to ship your material, you will find that the market rates have gone up.
Logistics has becomes a very big issue in this. Yes.
Correct. So legacy is one issue which they need to figure out. I think the second piece is about packaging and preservation
Huh.
and some amount of affordable innovation. I mean, you don't need to look at, let us say, extremely high tech solutions. I would share an anecdote here, a story. I met one of the largest retailer in the world,
Hmm.
and the gentleman was telling me that one of the largest problem they have is a reconciliation of items going from one their factory to their depots and
Huh.
DCs. So what is meant in DC A got unloaded in DC B, and then you reconcile thousands of items, and it becomes a nightmare. So after 2 days, so I said, yeah, I understand your problem. If particular pack size get interchanged, then there are 8,000 SKUs in a typical shop. You can
Correct.
imagine that.
Huh.
I met another gentleman who was running one of the largest retailers in the country today. So I asked him, tell me, how do you address this kind of problem? He said, I don't really have a problem on this. I said, how do you manage it? I'm seriously impressed. So he said, we went back to the understanding of insight that the people who are advising the loading of material in a truck are educated. They can read.
Yeah.
But the guy who handles loading and unloading are typically not so educated people.
Hmm.
But they are visually clear about symbols and colors.
Hmm.
So we just put a red bindi for every pack carton that needs to be unloaded in DCA, and a blue bindi for DCB, and a green one for another one. So all you need to look after unloading, is there a different color that's unloaded over there? Is that
Yeah.
mine is 99.9% accurate? Now just look at it.
Wow.
The bindi
No,
is
no, there's so much of local innovation which has happened because of this localization. Because I can also tell you that when you're talking about farmers growing traditional crops and horticulture and all that, I went to Jamnagar 5 years back, and I didn't know that Jamnagar today is growing so much of dragon fruit. Dragon fruit in Delhi was costing around 350 rupees per piece. And the dragon fruit in Jamnagar was sold for 20, 25, 30 rupees. And this is, I'm talking about, Jamnagar, Gujarat, and Delhi. So what I'm saying is that the transformation on this horticulture and all is happening at the local level. And but the logistic is not covering from that perspective. So what I'm saying is that there is a huge, potential. So through this program, I also want to call on the entrepreneurs who are into logistics, storage, agri-tech, tech, and others to see that please apply for this whole, Sampurna Grand Challenge, because our problems are not sometimes complex. Sometimes we have very simple problems. As Dr. George said, the Bindi has solved so much of logistic problem
you
of
don't need a
delivery.
handheld device or a high quality ERP
Yeah.
solution.
Yes. So I'm just saying that these kind of solutions, also thinking simply, can also bring a lot of change as such. So Dr. George, thank you so much today for your insight, your experience, and also giving us this whole thought process that simple things are also changing. The way it is, and through this, we are also, a lot of learning is happening on this Sampurna, which is sampurna.food, which is on our website, and Sampurna Grand Challenge, which our entrepreneurs in India or startups or FPOs, they can all apply. So thank you so much for your time, and I will now request Rishti to take over, and she has some questions for you and also some questions for the audience will be asking some questions to you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
so thank you.
Privileged to be part of the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. I think all of us have come very clear about what it takes, and always complex doesn't mean the best. I think that was one key takeaway that I take from the discussion, that always looking for a very extremely complicated solution doesn't mean that that's the best solution. It is sometimes simplicity is the key. There is one question that I think I've been asking all our speakers, and I would also continue that tradition by asking the question to you, is that when folks are building startups or solutions, what are some of the key pitfalls which prevent them from becoming scalable, and kind of make, like, limit them into a pilot or a regional brand? So what are some mistakes that entrepreneurs do that you see as recurring patterns?
I mean, my advice to innovators is simple: think beyond technology. Because in most times we believe that technology will address problems. But I'll go back to something we have done in during COVID, for example. There was a opportunity, there was a requirement during COVID that there were mobility restrictions. So consumers needed reliable access to safe drinking water. So we said, okay, we'll create an app where people can order, and then we will kind of supply them. But it was far more difficult than what we thought it is, because end of the day, the fact that you are sending your sales staff to containment zones, exposing them to likely infections, wasn't easy. It was almost like telling people to go to war in the trenches. So we said, okay, we need to take care of the people who are operating at the front end and cover their families. And we were one of the first companies in India to take insurance for those people. Not just 1 year, we said 3 years salary will be compensated to you in the event of any fatalities. And we covered their families as well. And the benefits also went to even not just employees, even contract labor. So sometimes innovations don't work not because the concept is weak, but because the systems to support that needs to be understood and needs to be enabled. So scaling requires far more things than technology. Technology will enable ordering platform, route optimization, your demand forecasting. But sustainable scaling will require equally on people and the kind of processes. Because many times I've also been part of a startup for a while, so I understand how it works. You have to make decisions very quickly, adapt in real time, and what I would say, coming from a marketer standpoint, is be intensely focused on the consumer needs. So organizations which are resilient innovate faster because we are used to ups and downs and variabilities in operating environment. So that's an advice I would give to people, that resilience is important. It's not rarely about a breakthrough moment. Okay, it's not the painting which you create, which is wow, and it's done, and then you retire. No. It's about building systems, processes, and capabilities that allow a good idea to scale repeatedly, reliably over time.
I think Very, very key. Build really strong processes. Otherwise, no matter how great the idea is, it will never reach its full potential. And the other, listen to what the consumer needs. So I understand that whatever company constantly responds to its evolving consumers' needs and evolves with those needs ends up passing the test of time and becoming, the larger legacy players within the ecosystem. I think on that, there is one question that kind of builds on the question that I had asked, which is, um, so with your experience, could you share your perspective on how can we build scalable solutions in today's AI-driven environment, especially in agriculture, with AI coming in and everybody wanting to jump on the AI bandwagon, whether it makes sense for everybody, whether everybody should do it, and what does building in this environment really look like?
Uh, I would put this in two contexts. One, uh, all said and done, when you're talking about AI, it is about sourcing the right inputs. Uh, Number two is about converting that idea into a locally scalable execution. I mean, we have seen that over the last few years, I've been working with some of these people, that there are so many agricultural startups today. I think I made that point earlier. One of the key issues in Indian agriculture is about not the output per hectare, but output per liter of water that is consumed. Are you cultivating the right kind of product for the market? Obviously, a lot of AI solution will give you the models in terms of what are the best selling items to be cultivated, how are the market trends going. The example he gave about the dragon fruit in Jamnagar, and if only that guy could understand that the market is really not in Jamnagar, but the market is in Delhi, and there is a huge arbitrage between 50 rupees and 300 rupees that could be realized, and that could be managed. So it's also about understanding how the transportation systems and other enablers which transfer a product produced in a particular location to be most cost effectively and safely shipped to where the market is. I'm sure the AI gives you a complete perspective of all things put together. I think that's the biggest advantage, the way I would look at it. If I were a farmer and I wanted to, let's say, tomorrow get into hydroponic vegetables, I mean, I've seen many of these entrepreneurs starting up in places where the market is very far away, and the sheer transportation cost negates all the advantages that you have in terms of your production efficiencies. So I think it's a question of building that. Secondly, also, while you have the AI, like I said, you can have a fabulous ERP system, but not still struggle with reconciliation of deliveries. But the local nuances of identifying the insights, that who's finally executing it for you on the ground. Is a loading guy who's illiterate, then what will work well in terms of an understanding for him in terms of execute. I can have micro irrigation platform established in a village, but if the guy believes that no, I have to keep open the tap for only half an hour and then close it, and your drip irrigation cannot work then. So these kind of educations one needs to understand. So we should be at 30,000 feet in terms of understanding AI, but you also need to get onto the ground in terms of real operating environment and the people who are operating those structures.
Absolutely, I think very, very valuable that everyone wants to build in the space of AI without actually understanding the nuances of the people or the environment that they're really building for. I think one of the panel discussions we were a part of a couple of days back, this takes me back to that, where everyone was building on predictive analytics for what the farmer should go, and you had all your big tech companies building on multiple models. But what really was happening at a farmer level was each model was giving a slightly different input, and then the farmer was extremely confused in terms of which one to trust and why to trust, and as a result none of them were able to actually get the kind of adoptability that they were looking at. So I think build AI, but build it with local and cultural contexts of people and the environment that you're really building for would be the key takeaway. I would take one last question, which is around from your experience, what role does leadership play in driving a culture of sustainability across an organization?
I think when people, for example, if I were to look at Bisleri, we said we want to do something on plastic and ensure that plastic recycling is a mandate. But it's also about some many times going beyond a mandate, because we are using plastic for most of our items. So we said, as an organization which is responsible, when the mandate came from the government that we need to recycle 70% of the plastic that we put into the market a few years back. So the first question we discussed in the boardroom is, with most of the people coming to me and saying, oh God, this is very difficult to meet 70%. Let's make a submission to the government that we should do it in phases. Pehle hum 40 karenge, then 50, then 60. So after some time, we will somehow reach 70. So I turned it around and said, why not we do 100% and become one of the first companies to cross that benchmark, that whatever plastic we put in, then we take it back. So obviously, guys thought I'm talking in the air, and that discussion happened. I said, we are going to do it. And I started chasing the system week after week in terms of how our recycling partners were getting pulling the stock from the market. Where are we? In which state are we lagging behind? You'll be surprised, the team which didn't believe that even 70 was possible, at the end of the year delivered something like 102% in the first year of obligation. So when I went with that letter to the Pollution Control Board chief, CPCB in Delhi, I had written that, we are a 56-year-old company, the heritage, the largest company that's selling water, and we are already replenishing so much of water doing all these activities. And the next paragraph was that we are proud to share we are a plastic neutral company. We are delivered 1.02 times of the plastic that we put into the market, and grade A plastic, grade B, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3. How many tons put into the market? How many tons have we recycled? So he just looked outside and said, please ask sir to come. So I understood, when you are behaving responsibility, the environment really welcomes you as an organization, that you're a responsible organization. But I think a lot of times this conviction and the push needs to come from top. If I was also skeptical that mushkil hai 70, I'm sure even 70 wouldn't have happened. But just that you were consistently chasing the system and said, my belief was I should go beyond 70. So I set a target of 100, and I think my team really positively surprised me that they could deliver 1.02 times in the very first year. And today we are recycling 112% of the plastic that we put into the market.
I think it's really that sustainability is now no longer an option, but rather a responsibility. And when the leadership kind of imbibes that and that kind of moves top down, the teams also align, the system aligns, and then better results are kind of delivered. I think with that, we will come to the end of Ask Me Anything with Sir. Thank you so much, Sir, for sparing
Thank
time,
you.
for
Thank you,
having these
Drishti.
conversations with us. I'm sure all our entrepreneurs, including myself, will leave very, very inspired from this conversation and will take some of these lessons into whatever is that we all of us are building. And before we close, I would like to request you to deliver a closing remark, something for our innovators looking to apply, looking to build from so many years of experience. Over to you, sir.
Okay. I think my message for innovators is simple: think beyond technology. Most successful solutions are those that align environmental outcomes and human behavior and economic incentive. You know, it scales when it becomes practical, profitable, and easy to operate in. That's a message I would leave you with.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today. It was a pleasure having you as part of this. It's a pleasure actually having you as a part of Sampurna Grand Challenge 2026, and we really look forward to engaging with you through the course of the challenge as the challenge proceeds. Thank you so much. We now
Thank you.
come to the last. Thank you so much, sir. We now come to the very last segment of today's webinar, which is the FAQ section, where we will take in questions specifically around the Sampurna Grand Challenge about eligibility, who can apply, the right category to apply, all of those questions. And to help us answer those and understand those better, may I please invite Mr. Asim Janeja, Ms. Aprupa Negi, um, to join us, and we will take questions. We will take the first question, which is, how does the program support innovators after selection to help them scale? Asim.
Hi.
Sorry, some technical glitch at my end. Hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh, so the idea of this entire program uh, is to take the scalable solutions through a journey where you will be exposed to a larger gamut of stakeholders, which includes government of Karnataka, which includes who's who of entrepreneurship from our expert group, a part of which will also provide mentoring services to selected ideas if they are selected. Uh, this entire endeavor is about creating an ecosystem where you can find need-based support from different echelons of different people who are there to support such innovations into ultimately fulfilling the aspiration of government of Karnataka regarding arresting of post-harvest losses.
There is next question around what makes a submission stand out in a highly competitive pool of applicants. Asim.
See, again, hoping I am audible. Some issue that is already there in my laptop that is continuing. But yes, what would make a submission stand out is number one, uh, their applicability in the 7 selected crops of government of Karnataka. The second factor would be novelty. We are not looking at run-of-the-mill solutions. We are looking at real innovations. Third would be intent. The intent to work in Karnataka and support government of Karnataka in their endeavor while scaling up your own business, scaling up your own innovation. I think these are the three factors. If an applicant can take care of these three factors, the application is bound to be standing out.
We will take the last question, which is there any possibility of the can we submit a solution in more than one theme under the same I think we'll take two of these. Can we submit more than one solution under the same challenge theme? That is one.
Yeah, I think yes, yes. We would more than appreciate if somebody can. Somebody thinks that there are multiple solutions which would warrant different applications under different categories. That would be a very ideal case.
Perfect. I think with that, we come to the end of this segment as well. Um, The application deadline is up till the 15th of June. You have 3 more days to apply. Can we have the scan or the QR code for our participants to scan and apply? You can scan this QR code and apply, or you can apply through our website, sampurna.food. If you have any more questions, you can please feel free to write to us on our email ID that is given on the website. Our helpline number is available for you to help you answer any queries. And we're more than happy and looking forward to all your innovative solutions. Please feel free to reach out. Do not hesitate. Looking forward to your solutions. And thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to all our participants, partners, innovators, entrepreneurs, and panelists who joined us today. Thank you so much and have a lovely day ahead. Thank you.